Do this to take responsibility and take ownership of your own experiences, of your experiences. Who else can own your experiences but you? We're going to talk about that in a minute, but first, let's wrap up the SOAP framework, our framework for dealing with challenges, setbacks, obstacles, anything that I think is a problem. It works as well for goals and objectives and things that we want, as well as things that we don't want. The truth is, most of us are so focused on the things that we don't want, we keep getting more of them, so we want to knock them out of the park using the SOAP framework first. The P in our SOAP framework, step 4, stands for progress. And progress is all about, how do we know that we're filling the gap between where we are and where we want to be? How do we know we're taking action, taking steps, moving forward, and progressing progress to alleviate the challenge that we are experiencing that we don't want to experience anymore? Well, most of us think that results, when we do anything, we'll start here and then all of a sudden we're going to be awesome at it. But the truth is more like all of these other lines on the graph. And so we want to find a way to measure whether we're progressing on the thing that we want to improve or not. I picked listening. How will I know? How will I measure if my results are improving and I'm filling the gap between being a not so awesome listener to being an awesome listener, a really good listener? I define those things. I judge whether I'm being a good listener or not. And so do the people listening to me or talking to me and having conversations with me. But how will I know? Well, there's several ways I'm going to tap into that and pay attention. Number one, I can track the number of difficult conversations I have and whether I'm taking ownership in those conversations or not, or if I'm, excuse me, if I'm using the tool we're going to talk about today, or if I am not. Only I can determine that. Only I can decide I'm going to use the tool or not. I'm going to decide to have a sip of coffee for my morning throat. So how am I going to measure that? How will I know? I journal and use my gratitude journal every day. So if I notice an increase in, or when I notice an increase in the interactions that I feel grateful for, even the bad ones, right? Even the negative interactions or something that could be considered negative, when I feel good about those because I listened and I used our tool today, then I will know with 100% certainty that I'm beginning to close that gap. Here's the thing about some of the things that we choose to improve. They might be lifelong goals for us and challenges. One of my lifelong legacy goals is to be an awesome listener and to be known for being a great listener. Why? Because I think that that is a worthwhile skill for every one of us on the planet, because it does allow us, and this isn't our tool for today, being an awesome listener, but it allows us to, number one, show support for other people, show that we understand other people and that they're worthy of our attention. I think that's the biggest underlying reason that I want to be known as a good listener, because a lot of times we're not listened to. I've been in a lot of situations and environments where I was discounted and not listened to. We all have. And so we can alleviate that by becoming a better listener, understanding, because people tell us and show us everything. They don't even realize it. And if we understand that we can observe that, by listening and observing, we are light years ahead, at least from an emotional intelligence standpoint, than the vast majority of people on this planet. So what is this thing? Okay, so what we're going to do today for the SOAP framework, how are you going to know you're making progress? How are you going to measure it? And again, some things are harder to measure than others. Whether I'm a better listener or not is a pretty subjective thing. And so I'm going to look for a way today to actually measure that. Maybe once a week, I do a check-in and I summarize all the conversations where I was a great listener and I fess up to when I wasn't so good and what I could have done differently. Just a 5-minute review of the week is enough to help me know if I'm making progress or not. That's what works for me. All right. So what is this thing we want to do to take ownership of our emotions, our experiences, our feelings, our everything? It is using I statements. I don't know if you've probably been exposed to I statements because people use them all the time. Actually, excellent communicators use them all the time. We take ownership of our experiences and how we react and respond to things by using I statements. I feel blank, naming the emotion, when blank, a behavior happens because of the impact that it has on me. I should have done a card, but I didn't. I'll do it in the comments below. I'll do an I statement format with the blanks. Why is this so powerful? The only person's emotions we can actually manage and control is our own. And one of the best, most powerful things we can do in our life and to positively impact the people around us is to demonstrate that we own our emotions and that we own our ability to own our experiences, right? Nobody else is responsible for our experiences but us. Even the bad things that happen to us, we made a series of decisions to put ourselves in the position where that bad thing could be attracted to and happen to us. And that is taking radical responsibility for ourselves, our actions, our thoughts, our beliefs, and our behaviors. And again, the vast majority of the people on the planet have no clue that they even have the power to do this, much less will do it, which gives you an incredible powerful competitive advantage in every area and aspect of your life. And it's not like we're competing against other people, especially for our emotions and our well-being and our experiences, but it allows our exchanges and our interactions with other human beings to be so much richer, because instead of blaming by saying you did this and it made me feel this way, because nobody can make you feel anything. It's always we choose to feel frustrated. We choose to feel angry. We choose to feel upset. We choose to feel cheated or jealous or overwhelmed. We choose to hustle. We choose to try. We choose to hope. We choose everything that happens to us in our life. And once we understand that, it gives us incredible power to change how we and what we choose to feel and experience, right? I learned from Tony Robbins decades ago about depression. And I was in a time in my life when I ran into Tony Robbins and started following him in my actually like early 20s. I think I had just turned 20. He had just started showing up in the world. And I saw him on a late night infomercial when I was in the hospital in Valley, Nebraska. And it was one of the first personal development things that I did. But he teaches us that we have unlimited power if we so claim it and if we choose to behave in ways that empower us. And one of the ways we can empower ourselves, set a good example for other people, which in turn improves the quality of our relationships, the quality of our communications, the quality of our interactions, and the quality of the communication and our communicating is what this month is all about in the challenge. How do we improve our communication in massive ways? And this is one of those simple tools that we underestimate, so we don't always use it. But if you find yourself in a difficult situation, instead of blaming and saying, you always do this, or you did that, and it hurt my feelings, or I'm upset because you didn't follow through when you said you would, or you didn't say you didn't do what you said you would do. Think of those times in those situations that haven't gone well, and then imagine what it would have been like if you had used an I statement. I feel frustrated when you are always late to pick me up, because then I'm late too, and being on time is important to me because I like to keep my word to people and do what I say I'm going to do. That's all about you and your feelings. It's hard to argue with that. Now, I will contend, because I lived it, there are human beings that will argue with your feelings and try to invalidate your feelings. But guess what? That's their problem, not yours. We are all entitled to our own opinions, and we're entitled to our own feelings. We don't always have to share them with the world, but people can argue with that. But when they play a role in negatively impacting us because of a behavior, we have a right to call it the behavior, but to call it out in a way that doesn't accuse or blame somebody else for our own feelings, because only we can control our feelings. Nobody has the power, unless we give it away to them. Don't do that, to negatively impact our feelings. So today, I want you to practice an I statement. I want you in your next kind of interaction with anybody, instead of saying you, or if you were going to give somebody feedback, instead of saying, I'm upset because you do this all the time and it makes me feel this way. Don't do that. I feel blank. I feel overwhelmed. I feel frustrated. I feel angry. I feel envious. I feel overwhelmed. Whatever it is you're feeling, when blank, and then just describe a behavior. Don't accuse the other person of it, but they know that you're talking to them, so it is indeed their behavior. You don't have to spell it out for them. And then why? What is the impact when, because blank, because this is how it impacts me. I feel frustrated when everybody in the household is all upset and up in arms and screaming because things aren't going according to the way we expected them to, the plan. I got to tell you, if we're frustrated every time something that we expect to happen doesn't happen and the plan doesn't go exactly how we planned it, we are setting ourselves up for a ton of negative emotions and negative feelings. That's on us. That isn't on anyone else. It's on us, because we can always do what we can do to be on time, to alleviate the situation. The only person's behavior we can change is also our own. So if we take ownership for that, guess what? Now we have all the power we need to create what it is we want in our relationships, in our life, in our communication, in different situations that we find ourselves in. And we're not looking to blame anybody else. How many people ever responded well when you blamed them for something? Even if it's their fault, even if they're doing something that is heinous and it's their fault, they still have convinced themselves in their own mind that it's okay and that they're perfectly okay and it's perfectly for them to do the wrong thing, right? It's amazing, crazy, but true. All right, so what are we doing today? P, how are you going to make progress? How are you going to measure what you're doing to complete the SOAP framework? And share that in the comments below, because I'd love to see what people are doing and how you're finding ways to measure, especially in the area of communication, because we don't measure very much communication. Although there's a way to measure everything, even if it's just journaling or noticing if there's a change or a shift or not in the direction that you want something to go. And then share in the comments below that you did this. You tried an I statement once today. I'm going to try I statements a lot more often because it is such an incredible tool and I totally forget about them sometimes. So you've probably been exposed to them, and then ask yourself, how does it make me feel when somebody uses an I statement in a conversation instead of accusing me of something and blaming me for something? Very different. Share that in the comments below too. All right, if I can help you anyway, hit me up and ask. I need a sip of coffee. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow. Have an awesome day. I feel awesome when people use the tools that I share because it makes me feel like what I talk about matters. All about me, right? All right, have a great day, and I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.